Hi, my name is Patrick. This video is basically to tell you mistakes that people do while preparing for the NMAT exam. So you prepare for the NMAT exam, but normally preparation is not right. And if you don't go in the right direction, you tend to make mistakes and that will either backfire the NMAT exam or it may not help you at all. Let's look at the mistakes. So if you look at the NMAT paper, it's an adaptive test. That means after every set of questions, few questions based on your accuracy in the past questions, the level of difficulty keeps on changing. It may increase or it may decrease. The level of difficulty of the exam could change as when you solve more questions. So basically, there are 36 questions per section, verbal, logic, quant. Okay, and you need to solve in a given time. So it is a specific time, and it's considered by GMAT. It is general paper pattern. So let's try to understand. One mistake that people do is preparing for extra topics. Now, what happens? NMAT is very standardized. Okay, so it will come only what questions are expected in the exam. So if you have input output will come. No geometry will not come. So you need to look at what type of questions are coming in the exam, and those type will only come. You don't have to study anything extra beyond that. But unfortunately, people study a lot of extra things which are not required for the NMAT, and that is not a very good way of preparing. One way of knowing what topics are important is go to the official mock paper. I mean, you normally when you enroll for the exam, you get the paper which you can write. You can write the same paper double time twice. So it is write it once. You know the type of questions that come in the exam, and then you can use that parameter to try to study the topics that come in the exam. So you need to study topics like geometry. There are a few topics that don't come in the exam. Also, few topics that are more weighted, like permutation, combination, probability, have a slightly higher weightage in other topics. So you can tend to focus on topics which have a higher weightage and try to not focus on topics which don't come in the exam. That's how you can do. Second mistake that people do is they don't plan the strategy. Strategy becomes extremely important. Okay, you need to spend time in planning the entire paper. How much time you're going to spend on each type of questions? How do you go? As the questions are known, we can find the time required. For example, we know there is RCs coming in. We know there is a fill banks coming in. I also know that fill banks will take less time than the RCs. So check out how much time you should spend on an RC or how much time you normally spend on an RC. How much time you spend on a fill banks. Based on that, you can also find the marks per minute per type of questions and decide to prioritize those type of questions. That's what you can do. Okay, so you'll plan the entire paper, like time per question, number of questions will you solve, which question will you leave. Ideally, you leave questions which you get minimum marks per minute. So number of questions mark without options. Understand that you have to solve the entire paper. Even if you don't know, just mark it and move forward. That's what you need to do. So how many you're going to just mark and move forward, and how many you're going to actually solve, all that planning has to be done based on your time factor. Next mistake people do is not writing enough mocks. Remember, it's an adaptive test conducted by GMAT. Okay, so that means the paper is a little different from your normal other entrance exam. So it requires a little bit of planning. So practice to find out the strategy. You need to practice enough mocks. So I would say minimum 5, but around 10 to 12 mocks is what is required to ensure that you have a proper practice in terms of strategy. Right? I hope this helps with your preparation for NMAT. All the best.